All right. So I wanted to get on here and just chat with you a little bit, and how nice I get to talk with both of you. I've done a couple, like you guys, you're married, right?
We're married.
Yeah. So I've done a couple of chats with married couples, and it's always been fun to have both of you on. So why don't you, whoever wants to start, tell me a little bit about like, and I've talked to you, Melinda, before. This is the second time I'm talking to you, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about sort of what made you guys sign up for the meal plans, or how long have you been eating this way? Like, what's your plant-based backstory?
You start.
Okay. So I have probably a variant of familial hypercholesterolemia. So my cholesterol levels are very high, and grew up eating a typical American diet, Western man diet, I guess you would call it. And when I first got my cholesterol checked, it was like my total cholesterol was 433.
In his 30s.
Yeah. And,
wow, that's impressive, and not in a good way.
And so, I just resigned it all to genetics, and I got on Lipitor, and it took me like for years I was on like up to 80 milligrams of Lipitor a day, just to get my total cholesterol around 200. And I started kind of hearing about plant-based nutrition about 11 years ago, I guess when we switched. Melinda was already a vegetarian when we met, and then she started eating meat after meeting me,
and I have since stopped.
Yeah. So anyway, one of my friends from college is a plant-based ultra athlete, Rich Roll, and I had talked with him about how good he felt and what he done in terms of athletic endeavors, and it kind of piqued my curiosity, and then I started learning and reading about it. And so after reading Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Estelson, I pretty much switched to a plant-based diet 11 years ago, and felt markedly better immediately. And I do run and do triathlons and things like that. And in my 40s, I was running faster and dropping weight, even though I was already athletic. I just kind of, it melted off anyway, not limiting calories and stuff. And
that was a really neat thing to see, actually, as a partner on the side. So we started eating that way together, and Jeff's body within months markedly changed. And as he said, he's been an athlete all his life, but melted off like two clothes sizes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah, so fast.
And not because he, you hear a lot of people say, oh, I want to lose weight. And Jeff was never about losing weight. It was about being heart healthy. And a bonus side effect was he lost weight. Not because he was reducing calories. He was just eating clean and healthy. Okay, back to the story.
So, yeah, we've done it for years, and we both have felt really good doing it. And
well, wait, I'll put in a little bit of a side on that. So we were eating plant-based for years, but I didn't like cooking, and we went out a lot, a lot. And then you can keep going.
And so, yeah, I mean, and that is one of the, I guess, the things.
How you heard about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is pretty you know, obvious now, and is that you you can eat plant-based and be kind of unhealthy doing it, obviously, especially if you're eating out a lot and stuff, which we were doing. And, there's a lot of oil and stuff like that in a lot of the restaurants. And, even though there's no meat or dairy in them, it's still, and we would, I probably did it more than Melinda, but I would, get a lot of the homemade vegan burgers and stuff like that. Not homemade, the store-bought,
Hmm.
in the package and stuff like that, and a lot of vegan cheese and stuff like that that just almost mimics, and I love the all the new burgers and stuff like that that were almost like the old burgers that I ate. And
Yeah.
anyway, probably a couple of years ago, I work as a general surgeon as well, a general and trauma surgeon. I had a patient come to the hospital who was in a trauma, not massively injured, but I helped take care of him. And just in talking with him, started learning about his heart history, and he had a severe coronary artery disease, and pretty much after multiple heart attacks, had halved his heart function. So his ejection fraction of his heart was about 25%. And he was told that he wasn't a candidate for any more stents or heart surgery. And his wife started reading about plant-based nutrition, and then she somehow found your website, and she told me about it and how great the recipes were, and free of oil and things like that. And
That's so cool.
I'm not on Facebook, so I told Melinda about it, and then she looked it up, and then we kind of started doing it.
It was like, all right, I'll try, because I didn't like cooking, but now I do like cooking.
Yeah.
So
and
So
it's
awesome.
been great, in that we do a lot of it together, and in terms of the cooking. If I'm not, especially on the weekends and stuff, when I might be off and have more time and stuff, we enjoy cooking together and eating together.
we
And
do.
it's been
So
good.
much fun. So cool. Well, I love that story. So what was the deal with your cholesterol? What happened with that?
So that markedly decreased, and a doctor is your own worst patient a lot of times, and so I was so pleased that I stopped all my cholesterol meds. So it was pretty amazing reduction, 100% reduction in my cholesterol without medication. So at a start of 433, I was down to 200 without any meds at all, and
Great.
which is great. But
Amazing. Yeah.
but doing some more reading, uh, I I do get a lot of information online and stuff like that. Not that I'm on Facebook, but I like on Twitter, and a lot of Twitter. Follow a lot of the plant-based people, and was reading about uh, um, CT coronary scans in terms of recommendation, in terms of screening for people that might be at risk. And so I talked my primary care doctor into ordering one, and he was like, "You don't need that. Your risk of major coronary event is under 3%, given how healthy you eat and your weight and your blood pressure and your activity level and exercise." And so anyway, to humor me, we went ahead and did it, and it was markedly abnormal, with significant calcium in my three main coronary artery disease, which my score kind of put me at in the highest risk of major coronary event in the next couple years. the 85th percentile and stuff. And so anyway, after doing that, I went back and started just eating even cleaner, and that's been in the last like 6 months.
No more eating out.
We don't eat out anymore,
Ever.
and so and I went back on medications, and I saw a lipidologist, and I did more heart studies that showed my heart function is excellent, and no signs of ischemia or anything like that.
Awesome.
But still a marker that I've damaged my arteries through the years.
Right.
Maybe for all I know, before I switched it all, but also maybe even the last 9 years when I wasn't, maybe the perfectly healthful plant-based eating, I guess. So my goal is and has been to, not put anything in my body that's not going to heal it.
Yeah.
And even doing that, again, not limiting any calories, but I mean, we've used your recipes just a ton in terms of making dinners and things like that. But I shed another like 15 pounds. Again, not exercising anymore, not limiting any calories. It's just really clean without any of the oils and the bad stuff that you get maybe in a restaurant or in the plant-based products that you might get in the store.
Right. The processed stuff.
Yeah. So Jeff now is in his 50s and back to the size he was in high school. Being clean and exercise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have a big motivation there to do this.
No doubt.
And imagine, I mean, we don't know because like just speculating, but imagine if you carried on eating the way that you were eating and never making this switch, know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm quite certain had I not 10 years ago, I probably, if I could show you pictures of what the calcium looks like in my coronary artery disease, I probably would have been out on a run and maybe had a massive heart attack.
Yeah, that's so wild. Well, that's so awesome that somebody that you heard of us from one of your patients' wives. That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. And then here we are, and we're healthier for it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I love that story. Yeah.
Enjoying it, I mean, we really have enjoyed, we don't really miss anything in terms of what we're eating, I mean, the flavors are excellent, and, we found tons of stuff, that, in addition to your excellent stuff, we've found lots of stuff that
it's doable. It's doable, and I know that the restaurant food, even if you're eating out and eating plant-based, there's no getting away from oil when you eat out. There's just not, and so it's like I always, and I eat out once in a while as well, but because you have like such an important reason for just really sticking to like plants and no processed stuff, I imagine that is, enough motivation to just say, okay, screw it, we're going to do this. But it's like so important to have delicious food because we have to eat. Right. And if you, I mean that, go ahead.
I feel like we're being punished, right?
Yeah.
Like, or that we're denying ourselves. And actually, there are times now, a special occasion, we go out with family for dinner and we look at each other and like, it's not as good.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel that all the time. Anytime I go out, it's like, maybe because there's like a lunch and I'm meeting my mom and we're going to go for a visit. And it's like, okay, but it's never as good. It's never as good. I understand totally. It can't be. I mean, when you're controlling. Yeah.
we, I mean, I do have a excellent reason for what we're doing and stuff, and it keeps me motivated to continue to do it. But it has to be sustainable, I guess. And so
Exactly.
try not
Yeah.
to be too dogmatic and stuff like that. Um, you know, we don't use a lot of processed sugars and things like that. But on somebody's birthday, we'll have a vegan cake or something like that.
Hmm.
And try and be kind of balanced about it, I guess, so that you're not too.
Yeah, too strict. I mean, I do think that helps the longevity of eating this way, when it's not as like, no, never, you can never eat birthday cake again,
Yeah.
which is why we come up with yummy desserts and cakes and stuff. Because I do think that it's an important thing to do. And I think that the goal of any of this is like to do this for the long term, which is exactly the opposite of what diets are about, right? And so to be able to do this, to 10 years down the road, it needs to be enjoyable if you're going to be doing this 3 meals a day for a very, very long time. So it makes sense. So, Melinda, you said when you kind of started this process, you hated to cook.
I did hate to cook.
Okay. So what?
Now I really like to cook.
Okay. So what
So-
changed? Tell me about that.
So there's two things. One is it's yummy.
Mhm.
And the other thing is I shifted my perspective about it. And so I really like making and creating art. And it feels like an artistic experience now.
Mm.
And so, it's beautiful. There's beautiful colors. There's changing the shapes of things. There's putting it together. So that's what,
Totally.
right? It
That's
feels,
awesome.
I like look forward to it now, which if you would have asked me 20 years ago, if I would say that, I would have said, nope,
Yeah.
not going to be, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it is like art, right? Because you're taking these whole plant foods, which are, naturally very colorful, right? All the spectrums of the rainbow and all the vibrant colors of veggies and fruits and all the different tans and colors of all the whole grains and beans. I mean, those one beans that are like black and white, I'm forget the
Yeah.
name of them, but even just like the colors of beans, like you are really creating art, taking all of these foods and then combining them in ways that make them so delicious. I mean, it really, I totally hear you. I feel that it is such an artistic process. So I love that.
Yeah. That is, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So it's like, it's feeding me on a soul level too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's satisfying that urge to make and create and transform. And where I would sometimes do it with paint or fabric, now I'm doing it with food.
So good. So good. Love it. And I cut you off earlier because I was like really like excited about that metaphor. But what were you going to say?
Oh, we have 3 adult children.
Mhm.
And at first, I would say, I'm making this for me and dad. You're welcome to have it. If you want something different, you can have something different. And often they would taste it and be like, oh, that's good.
Bonus.
So
Okay.
all 3 adult children now eat plant-based.
Yes. Yeah. This has such a ripple effect, doesn't it? You never
Yeah.
know who you're going to affect. It's okay. They're not in trouble, whoever that is over there using the water. It's life. It's how it goes. So good. So what about you, Melinda? Did you experience any of your own kind of transformations around all this once you kind of switched to this way of eating?
Yes. So I too lost some weight, not as much as Jeff. Um, but I'm a woman and he's a man, and I eat more than he does. I think that's probably a big part of it. I don't know. Whatever. I haven't lost as much. The biggest difference that I feel, I used to have that mid-afternoon drop, and I don't have that anymore.
Mm.
There's that. And I also don't feel puffy and swollen.
Mhm.
So where I didn't lose as much weight, I did change clothing size,
Mhm.
2 clothing sizes, which is also pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it's more of an energy thing. that is the biggest change. Yeah.
Yeah, that afternoon slump is so nice to not have. Like I remember having that. And I've never eaten meat, but I was vegetarian for a long time. And so I did eat, cheese and just heavier stuff and like coffee. I used to drink a lot of coffee with cream and sugar and stuff. And that, I mean, I used to smoke too and like whatever, just didn't have the healthiest lifestyle. But that afternoon, like, 2, 3 o'clock of just going down, it's amazing now to think of that because like you, man, when I wake up in the morning, I'm awake and I just go through the day and then it's time to go to bed and I go to sleep and it's like just a non-issue. So easy.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
I think it's the main difference for me. I don't have the cholesterol thing, so that hasn't really changed or been an issue. I was a vegetarian for a long time and then did eat meat for a little while. But I don't miss that at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
The thing that was hardest for me was dairy. I was a big cheese eater. But I find so I like rich and creamy, but I find the recipes, there's lots of rich and creamy and not rich and creamy that all taste the same. And that's what I like about all the recipes is there's lots of options and it's really satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that that's a big thing for people is the creamy, cheesy thing that people get so hooked on. And so, yeah, that's awesome to hear that you've kind of you don't have to go without that sort of creamy deliciousness and you still are satisfying that, but just getting it in a way that's like made out of plants.
Yeah. Lighten up was really good for me too. I did that. And that whole thing of drinking warm water, getting enough fluids, not eating after a certain period of time at night. That was a big change for me. Definitely felt different when I woke up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of irons everything out, I think, to take it one step further. So Jeff, I wanted to ask, what kind of doctor are you?
I'm a general and trauma surgeon.
Oh, general and trauma surgeon. I think you said that in the beginning. So I was going to ask, because I guess that kind of, were you surprised by this? Just seeing as you are a doctor, not necessarily like a heart doctor, but were you surprised by how food changed you?
I was surprised, and again, in terms of my cholesterol, like I really, there's no question there's a genetic component to it because even what I've been doing, my cholesterol should be like zero, not zero, but
like 40 or something. Yeah,
not still, and I still, to be smart about it, I'm still on Lipitor and another medication as well, and to keep it in a range where they feel it's safest for me in terms of progression of any disease or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I, again, I was really 100% reduction with no medications, right? So 433 to 200, and that's with no meds.
Yeah.
Is I thought remarkable, and also I guess the weight loss and the energy. I mean, I guess I was pleasantly surprised by that. That I'd done lots of different things through the years in terms of just keeping weight off and stuff like that, and the Atkins diet years and years and years ago, and things like the South Beach diet, and lots of different things. That I probably that they weren't sustainable for me, and again, this is just a lifestyle rather than a diet or anything.
Totally.
And so the weight loss, the energy, all that stuff changes in your bowels and stuff like that, markedly different between being a meat eater and stuff like that. So
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, fiber, right? Fiber and water and all the plant-based food. Yeah. Well, that's so cool.
you don't get a lot of that in medical school. There's not a lot of nutrition classes, and um, even still, like when I talked to like the cardiologists that I saw and stuff like that. I mean, they're like, yeah, you can do it. They don't know how much it helps, and I wholeheartely believe it helps, and just plan to continue and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's not infiltrated in the medical community that greatly, I guess, at this point.
No, I think that it's more, I think from what I've experienced, I've talked to a lot of doctors, and there are actually a lot of doctors who follow our meal plans and who have reversed their diabetes, for example. But what they're doing is they're hearing it from their patients.
Mhm.
And so it's certainly kind of making its way through the back door instead of the front door almost, but hey, whatever works, and I'm thrilled that you had so much, success with this. And you're so right when you say it's a lifestyle and not a diet. That's so true. And I think sometimes when you hear plant-based diet or whole food plant-based diet, that word diet in there kind of trips people up, because it's like the South Beach diet or the Atkins diet, where it's really not a diet. It's so much of a lifestyle, because for most people, I mean, including myself, it wasn't just the food that changed for me. It was like the food made me feel so good that I changed, I changed my life because of it. So it was sort of like a catalyst for all these other awesome things that happened. And it's such, it's such, you live this way. It's like you eat this way, but you also live this way. So it's
Yeah, Jeff's kind of a humble guy too. So the other thing he didn't tell you, he's been eating this way.
Mhm.
And then he did an Ironman.
Oh, well, that, no biggie. You skipped over that part.
Yeah. Well, I've been exercising, like I said. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little bit. All right. Well, good on you. Well, what a fantastic couple you are. How awesome. I'm so glad that I got to chat with both of you. Thank you for making the time to come together and to do this with me and for our community, and help inspire other people to, just check it out and try it. I always tell people, what do you have to lose? Try it for a couple months, see what it does, take it from there.
That's how we started.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one last thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of my mind shifts. And it's a little weird in that um, when I first started kind of changing everything, I kind of started thinking about, we kind of thought of ourselves as foodies and eating out a lot and stuff like that. And I thought, there's no way I can do this because it's such a big part of our lifestyle and stuff like that. But then when I kind of switched around on it, I thought about, one is it was great, but also, eating is only really at tops maybe 2 hours of your day, tops. And if you think about it in terms of your hours of the day, if you feel markedly better for the other 22 hours and you can still do it and do it thoughtfully and enjoy it, then you've really kind of had a paradigm shift.
I've never thought about it that way. That's a really good way to think about it. That's very insightful. I think that'll actually, I love that. Thanks for sharing that insight and that mindset kind of shift. Because you're right. I mean, we don't spend 22 hours eating a day, and I think, it's funny because I don't know that I would consider myself I guess kind of foodie, but what I found, and I don't know if this happened to you guys. I guess so, right? I guess I am. But it's like when I, was eating vegetarian or even vegan, because I was eating vegan for a while, and that included vegan butter and vegan cheese and vegan, versions of things and ice cream and stuff like that. But when I really transitioned away from the processed stuff, I actually my world of food really expanded.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like, okay, this is, there's even like, how many kind of squash is there? Like, how many kinds of pears are there? How many types of beans? Or like, I can do what with sunflower seeds? So I feel like it just kind of expanded, the options that I didn't necessarily see before, because I wouldn't ever think to make, something out of kabocha squash, for example. I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't even really see it, even though I passed it by the produce aisle all the time. So I think that this way of eating actually does kind of tend to those foodie ways as well.
I think so for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's great about all of these recipes is there's such a diverse variety and different flavors. It's very much a foodie thing. So
Yeah.
sure, it's not at a restaurant, but it's a foodie thing.
It is. It is like the different types of like, because every I follow the meal plans too, and every night it's something different. Luann's like, my wife, she's like, okay, what is this tonight? Tell me about this. And I'm like, well, tonight we have, and it kind of is like eating out every night, but like in my own house, which is perfect for me because I'm a total introvert, so that works. And and plus the food is the best in my kitchen, and also COVID and everything else. So it's a good time to be doing this, and I'm thrilled to pieces for you both. And I really thank you for being in our community and for just allowing us to go into your home every night for a little while with you. And yeah, thank you.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, you all have a fabulous week. Thanks again.
Bet. Thanks.
You too. Take care.
Bye.